here, and we're going live today on Thursday, October 2nd, and we're going to talk about what's going on in the world. You know, it's funny because I was talking about the other day how men these days are so weak, right? Men out there are being weak. It's not the same as it used to be. And I was talking about this, and then the next day, the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, comes on the air and talks about military standards and how, like, the military is going to change because the men are weak, and that we're going to have the same standards for everybody, which I thought was hilarious considering that I just spoke about it the day before on one of my podcasts, and I spoke about it, 2 days prior on one of my lives about how, like, men out here were so weak, and that, American superiority is coming to an end because of the fact that, like, men are so weak. And it's funny because I spoke about this. Like, men are weak. Our military has, like, the worst standards. Nobody wants to join the military anymore. It's like a disgrace. So I spoke about it, and all of a sudden, SecDef comes on the air, and he says, we're going to change the standards. We're going to make the standards so that, it's standards for everybody. All men are going to have the same standards. All women are going to have the same standards as men. Because if it's not standards, then it's, basically selective at that point. It's suggestions. We suggest that you do 7 pull-ups. We suggest that you do 10 push-ups. No, the standards got to be the standards, and it's got to be fair. And we understand that, women might not have the same upper body strength as a man, so it has to be, like, a fair, accurate assessment of one's strength. If you're a man that can do 300 push-ups, but they're only asking you to do 20, then that's fine. But for the women that can do 20, that's great on you, and that's how it should be. He wants to make it more combat roles. He said there's not going to be any more Pride Month, Identity Month, or any of this nonsense. He says we're done with that bullshit. And you know what? I get it, because we were literally just talking about this, ladies and gents. We were talking about how, like, men were weak these days. And I saw videos of, like, our military doing squads, RAWA, cheerleading. Like, it was disgusting. So, like, I understand this, and I have no objection to it. A lot of people are going to feel some kind of way about it. They're going to say, oh, Pete Hegseth, is sexist and biased, and he's a bigot and all this stuff. But, like, this is our military. Come on. You need to have strong women and strong men in there. Like, everybody has its place within the system, right? You have men who are strong, alpha males, combat operators. They have their place. You have people in intelligence. You have people that are in intelligence. You have people that are in operations and communications. Like, everything has to be legit. So it's funny how we were talking about it the other day, that men were so weak these days. And then SecDef, Pete Hegseth, comes up on the air, and he's like, the military standards are going to change. There's not going to be any more Pride months. There's not going to be identity months. These generals are fat bodies. Like, men are weak. And we were just talking about this the other day, that men are so weak these days that men, it's like embarrassing. Like, the standards of a man, gender roles no longer apply anymore. Everything's different in this world. Do you believe in gender roles? Do you think that gender roles still exist? Where the man provides, takes care of his family, and the woman is a nurturer and she cooks and cleans. That stuff doesn't exist anymore. Women are in their masculinity. Men are getting weaker. So for SecDef to come up and say, like, our military standards have to change, like, I agree with that. Like, everyone has to be able to do the same thing. There's combat, communication, intelligence, signals. Like, everybody has their place within the military. And, it's not saying that everybody has to be this big, bad, fit, tough guy. Everybody has their place inside the military. And for him to say, listen, we're not doing this bullshit anymore. That bullshit's gone. Identity month and men wearing dresses. Like, we're going back to the old days of American superiority. That's how it has to be. We were the toughest, strongest, and richest country in the world. We were the toughest, the strongest, the richest country in the world. Nobody messed with the United States. Nobody messed with us. Now we're a fucking joke. We're a joke. North Korea, Iran, Russia, they look at us like, this is a joke. Look at these guys. They're imploding from inside. Like, we don't even have to attack. They're just destroying themselves. So much division going on right now. over politics, being liberal, conservative, transgender, vaccines. Like, we have so much shit that we're fighting about right now that it's a joke. And for the enemy out there, it's even a bigger joke. Like, we're not even going to worry about America right now. Let them destroy themselves, and then we'll come back and we'll take care of it later. Like, so I agree with Pete Hegseth saying, like, military standards have to change. We need to get it back up there where we have American superiority. America, we're supposed to be the toughest, the strongest. We need to do it. We were, right? Were, that's the key word. You're right, Jacob. We were the toughest, the strongest, most superior. Now we're weak children. Like, we're weak children. That's what we look like. We look like we're throwing little tantrums out there. Oh, they don't like this, they don't like that. We can't do this, we can't do that. Like, shut the fuck up. Let the military handle their business. The military is supposed to be strong. Military is supposed to be powerful. That's what we want. There doesn't need to be gender equality and all this stuff in the military. Militaries are supposed to be tough. Are you going to tell the 300 Spartans that they got to put some women in their ranks and they got to put some transgender in their ranks and they got to do all this in their ranks to go fight? No, you're not going to say that, because your military is supposed to be strong. And we look like a laughing stock. And I'm so happy that we were talking about that men were so weak these days. Gender roles have changed. You got men that are stay-at-home dads, men that are doing this and that, and women are becoming more tough. And, so we were talking about it, and then Pete Hegseth comes up and he's like, military standards are changing. This is how it's going to be. We're going to go back to being tough. We're going to go back to being the American military, the elite. Like, we have operators, we have Delta, we have DevGru. We got all these, badass operators out there. And we got Russia, North Korea, China, Iran looking at us like we're a joke. We look like a joke. So, I don't know, man. What do you guys think? You guys think that, see, Jacob says we can get back there, but we have to keep right folks in power. We need old war fighters in charge. Absolutely. I think so. I think it all starts at the top. It's all about leadership at this point. Like, some people hate Pete Hegseth. They think that he's a scumbag, whatever. I think that he's the pillar that starts this, right? Young, fit, tattooed, badass. He was a war fighter, combat veteran. Like, that's how it should be, right? So that's how it should be. At the end of the day, we should be tough guys. We are the United States military. We need to be tough. Our adversaries need to see that we don't play games. But when we're sitting here running around and we got, leaders wearing dresses and we have so much infighting and we're fighting about dumb shit, like, we're fighting over the dumbest stuff. You don't think the enemy comes and sees that kind of stuff? Of course they do. Of course they see that kind of stuff. I was thinking about it the other day. I was watching something with Rob O'Neill. And Rob O'Neill, was a DevGru operator that shot and killed Osama bin Laden. This is the controversy. He says he did. Other people disagree, but whatever it is, that's the controversy over that. And, he was talking about how we flew in the middle of the night in Black Hawks. We came in and we took out Osama bin Laden and we took out, his whole crew, right? In a sovereign nation, we did it in Pakistan. We flew into the middle of the night in Pakistan. We just started murking people, blah, 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 right? How do we know that other countries are not doing that? That they're not sneaking in the middle of the night, or they're here already. They're coming in and they're taking out people that we don't even know about. It could be happening. So we sit here and, we can't be naive to the fact that, like, people think that we're weak and that we have spies in here and we have, adversaries in our country just watching, and they're reporting back to their nation saying, look how weak America is. These Americans, they're fighting over nonsense. They argue over transgender rights and these kind of rights and abortion rights and all the silly stuff. They're so divided. And at the end of the day, they're weak and we can just take them out, So, respect to, SecDef, Pete Hegseth, for, changing the requirements to be in the military. I think that's a great start. We're going to go back to being a superpower. We're going to go back to being badass. We're going to go back to being alpha males. And that's how it is. I believe that every male should be an alpha male in his own right. I think that's how I believe it. Every male should be an alpha male in his own right. At the end of the day, you know, you don't have to be this big, jacked, tough guy with like, you know, a crazy badass job, but you got to be an alpha male. You got to believe that you're a fucking man. You're going to go, you're going to take care of business, you're going to provide for your family, and you're going to do what's necessary to be a man. You know, I was talking to someone the other day. They have a son, you know, he's, you know, in his early 20s. And like, you know, she said that he was spoiled and stuff like that. And all she wants is for him to be a man and not to rely on anybody and be able to find his own path. And that's all you can want. And for a man, I believe that's good parenting, because a lot of parents spoil their kids, baby their kids, and then the kids turn into little bitches. Little bitches. And that's what we raise in this country, bro. We're raising little bitches. And like, as parents, we got to think about this. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? We're raising little fucking bitches. We're raising kids to be like, speak your emotions. Tell me how you feel. We're not, you know, back in the day, you got your ass whooped if you were disrespectful. Back in the day, if you talked disrespectfully to an adult, your parents smacked you in the ass and you didn't play games, and you know not to step out of line because your parents were going to handle business. Nowadays, kids are so fresh. They're disrespectful. No one is polite anymore. No one has manners. You don't see a young man walking up to the door when there's an old lady coming in and them holding the door for the old lady and letting an old lady in. They don't do that anymore. No one has manners. No one has respect. And it's our fault as the adults, and about, you know, being role models to these kids out there is our fault at the end of the day. Like, we're not teaching them manners. We're not teaching them respect. We're not teaching these kids how to be adults. And then we have whiny little bitches that want to cry over everything. Every time something happens, somebody wants to cry. Somebody wants to be upset. Oh, you hurt my feelings. Fuck that shit. You be a girl, be a man. Grab your fucking balls, stop crying, and be a man. And that's how it should be. And us as parents, if you're a parent out there and you agree or disagree, how we discipline our kids, how we raise our kids has such a big effect on the future, because this is what we're bringing into the world. We're teaching kids to be disrespectful. We're teaching our kids that, oh, speak your feelings instead of taking responsibility for your actions. So that's where I stand on that. As far as current events go, Pete Hegseth, shout out to you. You're the man. You're the alpha male of the week. Every week, I'm going to give out an award to the alpha male of the week, right? And the alpha male of the week this week is going to be Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth, alpha male of the week, for bringing back superiority into the United States military. See, now let's see. Rachel Velasquez says, this is so true. Nowadays, parents sit here and let kids watch TV or play on tablets instead of letting them go be a child and play outside and be kids. Let me tell you, Rachel, you're absolutely right. And you know what? I have 2 kids. I have 2 daughters. And it's funny, my 6-year-old said to me the other day, she goes, Daddy, am I like half boy, half girl? And I said, no, you're a girl. Why would you even say that? She's like, well, I do a lot of boy things. I said, what do you do that's a lot of boy things? She's like, I ride my bike, I play baseball, I go to the park, I like to climb things. And I said, that's not being a boy things. That's you being a kid. That's how it should be. Growing up, we played manhunt until it was like so late that our parents were calling us back. Hey, come on, guys, time for dinner, time to go home, whatever. As a kid, we were outside all night until like the freaking moon was in the sky and everybody was turning out their front porch lights because it was time to go to bed. We were out there playing as kids. So I bring those values to how I raise my kids. You know, shout out 5 kids, Rachel. That's rough, you know. Raising kids in this life is hard, and raising kids in this life is expensive. And you know, you got to compete with everything out there. You got to compete with social media. You got to compete with like what they're watching on TV. You got to compete of what they're learning in school. You got to compete with other children teaching your kids bad habits. So it's hard out there. Jacob, shout out 3 girls. I'm a girl dad. I know how it is. Raising little girls is different. You know, when you're raising boys, you have to teach them how to be a man. When you're raising girls, you have to teach them how to be a lady and how to be respected by a man. And you need to be that inspiration, and you need to be that standard of how a man treats a woman. And that's what they need to see. But like, back to like the kids not being kids anymore, like, I make sure I take my kids to the park. I make sure that me and my kids play baseball, have catch, go to the park, go ice skating, do fun things, and be kids. I don't want my kids sitting inside all day playing on tablets. They're just being poisoned. I was reading something about TikTok, and it was like, TikTok, the algorithm that TikTok plays in China is completely different to the algorithm that TikTok is in the US, right? The TikTok that's in China teaches the youth of China to, STEM, basically science, technology. They teach them how to do skills, how to be respectful. They teach them manners, and they teach them how to conduct themselves to grow up to be adults and stuff like that, and how to be a successful person. And the algorithm that's in the United States teaches our kids to be lazy, teaches them to do pranks on their parents, be disrespectful to their parents. Like, these are the things that are poisoning our children. And it's crazy to me because, like, now you got all these Chinese kids. That's why China and India, these kids, they're leading the future. Like, they're good in math, they're good in technology. They're becoming doctors, they're becoming engineers, they're creating like so many, amazing things to contribute to this world. And our kids are becoming lazy. Our kids are becoming lazy, obese. Our kids are not for nothing, a lot of these kids are stupid. Like, I deal it I see it on a daily basis. I see the kids and the young kids, 13 years old, 14 years old, 15 years old. I live in New York, and like in New York City, you got 14 and 15-year-old kids shooting each other, stabbing each other, killing each other in the streets. Like, bro, when I was 14 and 15 years old, that wasn't even anything that was close to my in my thought process. When I was 14 years old, 15 years old, I wanted to hang out with my boys and I wanted to chase girls. And that's what we did. Hung out with my boys. We rode skateboards. We BMX biked. We played music. I was in a little band, me and my friends. We'd rock out together and we chased girls. That's what I was doing at 14, 15 years old. Nowadays, these 14, 15-year-olds want to be gangsters and shooters, and they want to kill each other. Rachel says, not only all that, but we have to watch our kids like a hawk, because all the sex offenders out there and kids getting kidnapped, etc. Let me tell you, Rachel, 100% right. My kids are glued to my hip. When I go to a store with my kids, glued to my hip. Daddy, can I go run and check this out? No. Stay with me and I'll come with you, because it's disgusting. I watched that movie. I know it took a little while for me to watch it, but I watched that movie with what was it, John Casiki or something. He was on that Passion of the Christ, and he was the guy that was in that TV show with like the surveillance and stuff like that. And it was that movie about kids being trafficked and stolen, and like how the kids went to like a modeling gig in like another country. The father took them. They said, oh, come back for your kids in about an hour and a half. And he comes back and his kids were taken and they were trafficked, and he ended up getting his son. And then they had to go and find the daughter. Like, that's real life. Your kids, they'll like perverts, disgusting. Just take your kids. Like, what kind of person is sexually attracted to a little kid? You're disgusting. You're disgusting. Like, I don't understand that. What kind of human being finds sexual attractiveness to a child? Like, you're a fucking slob. It's disgusting. Rachel says, not only that, Jacob says, I taught my girls how to fight, and that mama teaches them how to be a good lady. Even though we are not married anymore, we have a very strong relationship. Listen, Jacob, I feel you, brother. I'm going through a divorce. Been going through it for about 2 years right now. I got 2 little girls, and, I got to play both ends. I got 50-50 custody, so I have them half the time. So I have them the same amount of time as their mom, but I have to play both roles. I co-parent with the mom. She does what she does on her end. And on my end, I got to do both roles. I got to teach them how to be a lady, which is hard because I'm a man, but, I do my best. So I teach them how to be classy, respectful, how a man should be treating them. Got to be that standard, like I said, of how your kids or your daughters see how a man is supposed to treat a woman. And I feel like it's my responsibility to be that standard, so my kids can look at me and be like, this is how a man treats a woman. So when they get older, they're not going to fall for that little bullshit that the guys try to do by calling them pretty and buying them. My daddy called me pretty every day. My daddy told me I was beautiful every day. My daddy would buy me stuff all the time. You're going to have to impress me more than that, So like, but I get it. Being a divorce is hard. And, but when my daughter said that to me about, Daddy, am I half boy, half girl because I do a lot of boy things? It like upset me a little bit because I'm like, damn, am I, you know, being too manly with them? Like, am I not doing enough girly things with them? And it got to me a little bit because I'm like, damn, I don't want my kids to, I don't want to make them too manly either. I want them to be tough. I want them to be independent. I want them to be strong. But I got to make sure that, like, I instill good values in them also. So, like, I like motorcycles. So I like to work on cars and stuff like that. And like my daughters will come and they'll work on the stuff with me. And I try to teach them skills. I teach them about tools. I teach them how to fight. I do Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I teach them how to grapple. And as little girls, I want them to be able to control the situation on the ground, right? Some scumbag, like Rachel was saying, some pedophile trying to kidnap them or whatever. I don't want my little girls to be overpowered by these scumbags. So I teach them, like, defensive tactics on how to, like, escape from that, or God forbid, if they're ever being pinned down, how to do some sweeps, how to, if they ever get pinned down on the ground, how to lock arms and, lock the legs and you sweep them. And so I try to teach them skills like that. And it's very important as a father to teach your kids self-defense, how to protect themselves. Because, the world's a cruel place. Like, there was always bullying. Like, bullying always existed, in schools and stuff like that. But, like, I felt like when I was younger, there was, like, no, like, real deal bullying. Like, we didn't have cyberbullying. You had kids that would, like, crack jokes and stuff like that and, like, clown each other. But no one was getting, like, their heads put in the toilet. No one was getting, like, exploited all over the internet. Like, we didn't have that kind of stuff. And I feel like it was like pop culture and like the media and the movies and stuff like that that made that like something where like bullies were messing around with people in school. But in my school, a lot of the different crews hung out together. Like, you had your jocks, your cheerleaders, your skaters, your goth kids, and your nerdy kids. But like at the end of the day, if we had like a party at someone's house, a house party, we all kind of like just hung out together and bullshit. We all grew up with each other. That was the thing. We knew each other from kindergarten all the way through high school. So it was like you knew this person. Let's see, Rachel says, I'm fixing to go through a divorce soon also. It's going to be a really tough with my situation. My husband was never home and very abusive to me when he was home. Yeah, listen, Rachel, I'm sorry. I don't wish divorce on anybody, on my worst enemy. It's funny. I was at court and the opposing attorney was talking to me about something. And, me and him butt heads a lot of time, because I understand he's representing the other party. So he's going to do his best to give them, the best possible outcome. But I looked at him and I said, you know what? You're married. You have kids, right? Like, be careful what you do, man. Don't try to fuck people over too bad, bro, because your karma is going to be that your wife's going to do it to you. And I said, honestly, I don't even wish that on you. I don't wish this on my worst enemy because divorce is so hard to go through. Your whole life flip upside down. You go from owning a home, having a family, living the American dream. Now, if you're being abused, Rachel, I'm never going to say you got to stick with that and stay in it because obviously if you're being abused, that's just a whole nother world. Him not being present, never home. Okay. Is he providing? If he's providing all the time and not present, then, I had this, like, I throw out a question of the day every day. I ask a question, I put it out there, make sure you check them out, my questions of the day. And, and give me your honest opinion. Put in the comments down below of the question. Tell me how you feel and what you think about it. But one of my questions of the day was, if the man is providing all the time, is he present? And if he's present all the time, is he really providing? And like, I got a lot of mixed, reviews on that question. Like, people were DMing me. I'm trying to get more people in the comments, but people were DMing me, private messaging me. And a lot of the women were saying, if he's providing and he's taking care of his family, then it is what it is. He's being a man. He's taking care of his family. He's paying the bills. He's making sure that we have everything that we want and need. And then some people were messaging me and saying like, well, if he's providing all the time and not present, then I'm lonely. I'm doing it by myself. So you got to weigh out the options. Or is he providing, giving you the best possible life as possible? And then when he is present, he dedicates his time to his whole family? Or, He's present all the time. He's always around, but he's not making enough money to give us the life that we need. We're falling behind. We're struggling. So you got to kind of weigh out the options when it comes to that. But like divorce is rough. Divorce is it's really tough, man. And I know, like I said, I've been going through a divorce for 2 years, and it's miserable. Like the ups and downs, the fighting, the emotion, the kids. Like, my daughter, I have a 6-year-old daughter, and me and her mom been split for 2 years. We're going through this divorce. We've been living separately, 50-50 custody. And in the car today, she actually said to me, she's like, Daddy, you should kiss my mommy so that you guys can get back together. And like, what do you say to that? What do you say to a 6-year-old? At the end of the day, it's such a confusing time for her. And she knows we're split. She knows that we're like in the divorce process. But like, what do you say to a 6-year-old? Like, she just wants her parents together. She just wants her parents to live together. She wants to live in one home. She doesn't want to have to go back and forth. So it's so hard on the kids. And let's see, Jacob says, I will say this, the kids didn't do anything wrong. Also, her husband is a great man. He treats my former wife great, and he treats my girls amazing. I hope you all can be friends. See, that was one of my questions of the day that are coming up. I already filmed it. It's going to be, can you and your ex really be friends? Can you? You got a co-parent, no matter what, you're stuck with this person for the rest of your life. You got a co-parent, you got to be friendly. And that's why I say, don't try to fuck each other over, going through this divorce process. Everybody wants to make it about finances. If you watch my first, actual video, it's about 23 minutes long. I talk about it. Like, don't try to screw each other over, because it's only hurting the kids. Everybody wants to make it about finances. But if you can be civil, amicable, and coexist, like, that's going to be the best option that you have, because you got to be friends with this person forever. And a lot of people just make it about money and finances, and you're going to give me alimony, you're going to give me half everything, you're going to give me all this child support. But like I said in my first episode number 1, that kids should see both parents prosper. Right? Like, it shouldn't be that mommy's living in a nice house, has a new husband, living this great life, driving a nice car, and daddy's living in a basement apartment, driving an old beater car, and struggling to make ends meet. Like, the kids need to see both parents prosper. They need to see that mommy's doing good and daddy's doing good. And you got to show them that you're doing good together, separately. Because, it really does affect the kids a lot. Rachel says, I grew up with a divorced parents, so I was trying to stick with him, but with him abusing me in front of our kids, and don't need my kids seeing it. Hope he has not been, nope, he has not been providing. And then Jacob says, I had to take my youngest for ice cream the other day because she stood on business with a bully that was being mean to her black friend. She is 7, and she let that boy have it. And that's good. And those are about the morals that you teach your kids. Jacob, you teach your kids not to back down. You teach them to be tough. You teach them to stand on business. And Rachel, going back to what you were saying, you tried to stay together for the kids. I tried that. It doesn't work. You're just going to be miserable. You're going to be unhappy. There's going to be a loveless marriage, no sexual intimacy. You're going to be walking on eggshells with each other all the time. And the kids are eventually going to feel it. The kids are going to see it. The kids are going to know that mommy's miserable or somebody's miserable. And no one's going to stand for, being in an abusive relationship, especially in front of your kids. Your kids should not be seeing daddy put his hands on his mother. Or, if it wasn't physical abuse and it was verbal abuse, still, your kid should not be seeing your man, your husband, shitting on you, calling you names, embarrassing you, and bullying you in front of them. Because then that's how they raise up and they see it. And if you have boys, and I remember you said you had 3 boys and 2 girls, I believe you said, your boys are going to see that's how they treat a woman. So when they find a woman that they want to date, they're going to have a rough time with their relationships, because it's a learned behavior at that point. It's a learned behavior. They're going to see, this is how my father treated my mom, so this must be the way that I treat a woman. And then for your girls, they're going to see, well, this is how my mom got treated, so am I supposed to get treated this way? So then your girls are going to stay in an abusive relationship because you did. And you got to be a strong, independent woman. You got to say, you know what? I'm not going to stay in this abusive situation. I'm not going to be defeated by this. There is a whole life ahead of me. And it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're a young parent, an older parent, this is life for you to stay in. I'm telling you, There is a whole nother world out there. There's such a big world out there. Like, I remember when I was first going through my divorce, my number one issue was, damn, I don't want to start all over. Right? That's everybody's fear. Nobody wants to start all over. You had this American dream. You had this house. You had the car. You had the family. You had the American dream, right? No one wants to start over from the American dream. Like, that's your fear, starting over. And me, at the time, I was 36 years old, and I'm like, damn, like, I'm 36 years old. Now I'm divorced. I got kids. Like, who's going to want to deal with me? I'm getting older now. I'm not this young stud that I was back in the day. Like, what am I going to do? And then, I took the time, like in the first year, I really worked on myself. Like, I went to therapy, but I didn't go to therapy for myself. I went to therapy for her because she's like, oh, you're like this, you do this, you need to change and blah, blah, blah. So I went to therapy to, like, kind of mend things, but I didn't do it for me. I did it for her. And that was the wrong thing to do. I was trying to change, but I knew for the longest time that I was in an unhappy marriage too. Like, I would say to my best friend all the time, like, man, I don't know if this girl's the love of my life, man. I don't know if I could see myself being with her forever. Like, we don't have that, like, movie style romance that I thought I was gonna have, So, like, you can't stay in that. You can't stay in that. And Rachel's saying, it has been physical, mental, and emotional abuse. My three boys saw him choke me out while I was pregnant with my fourth child, where I almost died. No, Rachel, that's a no-go. I hope you filed divorce papers already, or at least separated from him, because that's absolutely insane. You can't endure that kind of abuse. It's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for your children, and it's not healthy for anybody that's a part of it. Jacob, I worked on the road, and that proved disastrous to my relationship. When I was home, I made her my priority as well as my babies, but I was gone for 8 weeks at a time. And Rachel says, Rachel, you're only 32 years old. Forget about it, Rachel. You're young. 32. You're in your prime. You're in your prime. Do what you got to do to fix yourself. Like, right? Maybe you're not in the mental and emotional state to, like, move on, and maybe it's not about starting another relationship with somebody. But at this point where you are at, my best advice to you is to get your finances in order. Try to work on, getting everything in your life right, financially, physically, mentally, emotionally. Get yourself right. What you're going to do is, start worrying about what you're going to do with the house, if you're going to sell the house, if you're going to keep the house, you know, and you got to do what's best for you and your kids. You got to do what's best for your kids. You cannot be in an abusive relationship when a man is choking you in front of your kids while you're pregnant. That is the worst thing for your kids to see. Your kids are seeing this is how a man's supposed to treat a woman, and then your kids are going to be an abuser. They're going to be an abuser. And your girls, the daughters that you have, they're going to see, oh, mommy was getting choked, mommy was getting hit, and she dealt with it. She dealt with it. So this is how a relationship's supposed to be. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I grew up with a lot of women in my life, and I have sisters. And, like, I remember when I was younger, my sister could beat the shit out of me. If I even looked at her funny, my father would whoop my ass. My father would give me that death stare, like, you touch your fucking sister. I got an old school Italian family. My father would look at me. You dare fucking touch your sister, I'll beat your ass. You don't ever touch a woman. You ever put your hands on your woman. So that's how I was raised. But, like, I was abused too. Like, women can be abusive, verbally and emotionally abusive. And, like, I remember sitting there and being like, this is not the life that I want to live. But when things became real and the divorce kicked off, I remember being like, fuck, it was miserable. It was miserable. I was depressed. I lost 25 pounds. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I was anxious. I was pacing around, smoking cigarettes. Sometimes I'd have to go a walk around the neighborhood at like 5:30 in the morning because I couldn't sleep. And my mind was just all over the place. And I would have to literally pace around the neighborhood to try to tire myself out just to go to sleep. And, I have a very demanding job where I was working a lot. I wasn't focused. My heads were in the clouds. I was in La La Land. The people I worked with would be like, bro, you got to get your shit together because someone's going to get hurt, So, like, you can't live that way. And I highly suggest you get your finances in order. You get everything squared away. And you got to leave that toxic relationship because your kids seeing mom in a toxic relationship is only going to get them into a toxic relationship when they're older. And you're only 32 years old. You're 32 years old. You're young. You got a whole life ahead of you. And I'm telling you, I didn't want to start over. I was afraid I was going to stay together for the kids or try to stay together for the kids. And then as time went by, you know, they say time heals all wounds. It does, but you also got to work on yourself too in that time. I remember the first year I focused on myself. I wasn't dating. You know, I was worried about me, getting a place, selling my home, getting myself settled in. And that's what I did. And then when it was time to date again, I was like literally over it. I was over it. And I remember, and when I was over it and I was like ready, starting to date, wasn't miserable anymore and I wasn't upset, I remember like her being like, damn, like, is this a false bravado? Like, are you pretending that you're happier than you actually are? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I took the time to heal. I took the time to go through the motions and I took the time to mourn through this whole situation. And now I'm in a good spot. And I remember when I was ready and she saw me dating again, like she wanted to get back with me. And I was like, honestly, I don't want to get back into that. Like I'm happy where I am. And that's why I say, if you're going to go through this situation, do it for yourself. Make sure you handle your business and, you know, just don't try to be spiteful because, you know, you might be resentful for like the way that he treated you. You might be resentful for him physically abusing you, mentally abusing you, emotionally abusing you. And I'm sure that's like something that's going to eat at you, but don't let the kids see it. Don't let the kids see you and him fighting. And when you're going through this divorce process, you know, try to make it as civil and amicable as possible and keep the kids out of it because that's what's going to be what's the best for the kids. And at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. And Jacob says, oh my God, I'm so sorry for that. I can't imagine how hard it is. You know, Rachel, you're not with him anymore. He's locked up right now. Oh, well, there you go. I mean, as he should be. Jacob says, I don't pay child support and now I help as much as I can because that's how I agreed on things. Well, you find the right man, he'll show you kids on how a woman is supposed to be treated. Absolutely, Jacob. And cheers to you for not having to pay child support. You know, I live in a fucked up state. I live in New York. So even if you have 50-50 custody, and you have the kids the same amount of time and you do the same amount of, you know, everything, whatever parent makes more money still has to contribute child support. The percentages are a little different, but basically it's supposed to be fair. Like, all right, if, you know, he makes $50,000 more than her, then, you know, he has to give her $10,000 of it a year in child support to kind of like make it fair and even, which I think is bullshit because you still got to take care of your kid while you have them. You're still providing. You're still providing food, clothes, school supplies, everything, providing a home for them. So cheers to you, man. Cheers to you for not having to pay child support and supporting your kids and taking care of them and being civil and being cool with the fact that she has a new husband and life goes on, man. And that's how it should be. You know, I call it the Bitter Baby Mamas Club. Because there's a lot of bitter baby mamas out there that they don't want to see you doing good. Like they might not want to be with you, but they don't want you to be with anybody else and they don't want to see you do good. And when a divorce comes or a separation or a breakup and there's kids involved, they want to try to hurt the father financially. And then, you know, the father and her and like when significant others come into play and there's a new, you know, boyfriend, a new girlfriend in the mix, everybody wants to be a baby about it and make things worse. Like, so cheers to you, man. Like, that's how it should be. Get along, co-parent. You don't necessarily have to be best friends with this person, but you're going to have to deal with them for the rest of your life. Let's see. Rachel says, I think it's going to be really hard for me to ever find someone because I have 5 kids and I plan on getting my tubes tied or getting everything removed because I don't want any more kids. Let me tell you, Rachel, I talk about this. Check out my channel. Subscribe. Check out my channel. Check out my questions of the day. Because everything that you're speaking, I ask in a question of the day. Like I have a question, like, is it a red flag if a man is this age, doesn't have kids and never been married? And I've had men reach out to me and be like, no, it's not a red flag. Like, I don't want kids. I don't want to get married. And then, you know, some people don't want to have kids. Some people don't want to get married. So you getting your tubes tied, you might find a man that's cool with you having 5 kids and that he doesn't want any more. You're going to find that. I'm telling you. I thought the same thing, Rachel. I thought that who's going to want to have to deal with me and two kids? And I have two kids from two separate mothers. So I'm like, yo, I'm 36 years old. I got two baby mamas. Like, who's going to want to be with me? And you'll find that person. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I know for a fact. And you know what? And you find someone else that's like in a similar situation than you. You find someone that has kids already, doesn't want to have any more kids, doesn't want to get married again. Or if you do want to get married, you find someone that has kids, doesn't want to have any more kids, but still wants to enjoy their life with a significant other and live that lifestyle, that family. And there's nothing wrong with blended families. Let me tell you, one of the questions of the day that I have lined up to be released is, how do you feel about blended families? Do you think that it makes, your relationship harder? Or you think that, you can easily coexist with each other? Because I had a blended family. I had a child from previous. My ex-wife, soon to be ex-wife, had a child from previous. And then we had a child together. And we were a blended family. And things were going great for a long time. Like, her daughter called me daddy. His father wasn't in the picture. Her father wasn't in the picture. He was a piece of crap, wasn't in the picture. She called me daddy. I raised her from a young age. And, my kid from prior loved my ex, still speaks to her, still sees her all the time. So blended families can work out. So don't think that because you're 32 years old, have 5 kids, and you want your tubes tied, that no one's ever going to want you again. You're still young. You're going to find a man out there that doesn't want to have kids. Like, let me tell you something. I'm 36 years old. I'm 38 years old now, and I have my 2 kids, and I don't want any more kids. And I'm cool with a blended family. I'm cool with being a girl. I got a girl who has 2 kids of her own, and we're cool with not having any more kids. So like, you're going to find that. Don't think that you're alone. And I know you're in that place because I've been there. In the beginning, you're in that place. Like, damn, no one's ever going to want me. How am I going to start over? This sucks. This is going to be miserable. No one's going to ever want to date me. I got a lot of baggage. And you're going to find it. And you said you grew up with a divorced parents and both your step parents have kids. So like, so you know what a blended family is like. I'm telling you, we all get into that point, especially when you're first going through a divorce, that you're like, fuck, like, I don't want to start over. I don't want to deal with all this stuff. Who's going to want me? Who's going to want to deal with me? And like you're saying, I got 5 kids. I want to get my tubes tied. I don't want to have any more kids. If I'm going to meet a man who's going to want to have more kids and I can't do that, it's going to be hard. I'm telling you, it's not going to be hard. You're going to find a man that might have his own kid, as long as you're cool with a man having kids, because that's the world that we live in. The world that we live in right now, mostly everybody has kids, and all the relationships, especially after divorce or, prior to divorce, somebody at least has 1 kid and they're not married. So as long as you're cool with having like a blended family and you're willing to accept a man coming in your life who has kids and you're going to bring your families together at some point, then you're going to be fine. And he'll be cool with not having any more kids. I'll tell you, I don't want to have more kids. I'm good. I got my 2. I got 2 daughters. I always wanted a boy. But like, at this point, like, I just want to live a good life, travel and see the world and, and do good. So like, look, Jacob said, there are guys like me out there who don't care about how many kids you have. And that person will treat you and your kids as their own. My last girlfriend had 3 girls and I treat them as mine. Yeah, Jacob, I just said that, brother. See, Rachel, I just said that. You will find a man that will treat your kids as his own, and like, no one really wants to step on toes. Like, I know me, like, I will never step, as long as these kids' father is in their life and he's, present in their life, I'm never going to step on his toes. He's the father. I will love his kids. I will be a great male role model to his kids, but he's a dad. And I'm not going to step on toes because I don't want anybody to step on my toes. But like Jacob said, and I said, there are guys out there like him and like me who don't care that if you have kids. We're willing to accept that because we have it too. How can I be a hypocrite like that and be like, oh, I don't want to date you because you have kids, but I have kids in the mix too. So like, you're going to be fine out there. Divorce is rough. It's a shitty situation up front. A lot of fucking pain and tears goes into it. But I'm telling you, it's going to be smoother than you think. It's going to suck at first. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs. And like, yeah, Rachel, you said you're fine with them having kids. See? So like, I don't know where you live or what kind of area it is, but I'm telling you, like, once you're in the right spot and like, it's going to come when you least expect it. Like, you might be at Walmart and then this young, handsome 35-year-old man, single dad, walks up to you in Walmart and he's like, "Hey, how you doing? My name is so and so. Like, I noticed you walking, where you from, blah, blah," and you'll hit it off like that. And you'll least expect it, and then you start to talk to each other. Yeah, I got 5 kids. And he might be like, I have 3 kids. And you guys have the same interests, same hobbies. He's a gentleman. He teaches your kids, respect. He treats you respectfully. And it's all gonna come. So don't think that because you're 32, you have 5 kids, which I say God bless you, because 2 kids is a lot to deal with, especially in this world and especially in New York. Cost of living is so expensive that it's so hard to survive. But like, everything's gonna work out. Everything's gonna be okay. I know when you first get divorced or you first separate, that like you think it's the end of the world. And let me tell you something. I started this YouTube channel one day because one day I was like just in my feelings, just having a bad, a lot of ups and downs with court and stuff like that. And I was just like, I just needed to vent it all out. Like sometimes you just need to vent it out and talk to somebody and let somebody, like just get it all for your chest, get it off your chest. And I just started like recording myself, just venting about like my situation and what's going on. And I put it out there. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna put it out there and see, what people think. And I got like 500 views on that video. I had people hitting me up on Instagram. I had people calling me, like people that I didn't even know that were going through the same situation as me, hit me up and they were like, "Bro, I'm going through the same situation as you. It's miserable. I'm having a really tough time. This situation happened like a month ago. It happened 3 months ago." And I said it, like, I've been going through this for 2 years. There's people that are going through it for 5 years, 7 years, still in the court system, hitting me up, telling me like, "Bro, I know what you're going through. I've been there. It's going to get better." And there's people that are just starting last week or 2 weeks ago, going through the same situation as me. And they're like, "It's miserable. This sucks." So like, it's going to suck at first. I put it out there. So many people hit me up. You don't realize how many people are going through the same situation as you right now, Rachel. Like, I'm telling you, there's so many people out there that are getting divorced. It's like a plague because relationships are not the same anymore. Social media is literally destroying relationships. Like, I'm a true believer of that. You can't really change my mind about it. You could tell me, "Oh, that's not true. It's the person," stuff like that. But it's going to be hard to change my perspective on social media destroying relationships. Me personally, I think that social media destroys relationships because social media gives people a false reality, a false perception of relationships. Relationships are not all rainbows and butterflies. It's not these reels we see where like, you know, everything is so glorious and amazing. Like, there's going to be fights, there's going to be struggles, there's going to be financial difficulties, there's going to be, lack of communication sometimes, but a relationship is work. You got to work at it. People think that the grass is greener on the other side, right? But it's not true. The grass is only green where you water it. So like a lot of things with the social media, like especially where I think everyone's relationships is there's too many options. There's too many options. Women have men private messaging them constantly, liking their photos, and it all starts with a like. That one guy likes your photo, and then you like his photo back, and then he DMs you, and then all that chit chat starts, and now you're cheating. Now you're like emotionally cheating. You're talking to other men, or men are talking to other women behind their wife's back. And then there's all these options, and he's like, "Hey, fuck it. I met this person on Instagram. We're talking. Let me try my luck with Tinder. Let me see if I can get for somebody on Hinge." And they start reaching out. So look, Jacob just said, "I'm fixed. So it's okay." So listen, vasectomy, huge thing. That was like one of my first things when after I split. I'm like, I don't want any more kids. I don't want to deal with this shit. I'm getting a vasectomy. I scheduled it like twice. I keep chickening out because they keep telling me that you're going to be out of work for like a month. And I don't know how my job's going to feel with me being out of work for a month at home for something that's not a necessity. So like, I got to look into it more. But like, I was ready to get a vasectomy too. So you want to get your tubes tied? Jacob said he already got his a vasectomy. Like, I'm willing to get a vasectomy. And I know like 7 guys I work with all went to the same doctor for a vasectomy. Because, so once you have your kids and like you're pretty much good and you get to a place where like you don't want any more, you're going to find somebody else that doesn't want more either. Let's see what Jacob said. Rachel said, I'm in Arizona, but I hate it here. For me, it's more kids, the better. I love a big family. Jacob's like, I'm in Mississippi. My former wife is in Texas. I grew up in Colorado. I grew up in a big family. I was born in SoCal. It's an amazing woman. Don't ever forget that. Yeah, Rachel, you are. You're an amazing woman. You're raising 5 kids, and you're doing it by yourself right now. That's a hard feat to do, especially like I don't know what the cost of living is right now in Arizona, but I know that the cost of living in this world alone is insane. So I can only imagine. So like, don't think, what's the problem with me right now is I am pregnant with our 6th child and I plan on giving up the child for adoption because I'm really in a bad situation. Listen, I can't speak on that. I can't tell you what to do. This is your decision. You got to make the right decision. Like really, really think about the decision that you make, right? Like, I don't know. That's a tough one. Like, that's a tough decision to make. You're pregnant with your 6th child. You're going through a divorce. He's not around right now. You give up your child for adoption based on the situation that you're in. Like, I don't know, Rachel. I don't know. Like, that's rough. It's a rough situation to be in. I don't know how you are financially. I don't know, the circumstances. But remember, that's your 5 kids that you have right now, little brother or sister right there that they're not going to see, that they're going to be wondering what happened, because I'm sure your kids know that you're pregnant, obviously, unless you're so early that, it's not noticeable and the kids don't know, or you're at the point that you have a big belly right now and your kids are seeing it. And I'm guessing that your kids are at a pretty, like at an age where, they know and they could see that mommy's pregnant and mommy has a baby in her belly. And I don't know how you're gonna explain that to them, that where their baby brother or sister went. So like I said, like, that's hard. The thing is, I was arrested at the beginning of September. My 5 kids are in CPS custody. And unfortunately, that's rough. That's rough, man. I don't know. Like, but your intentions are to get your kids back, right? You want to get your kids back. You want to be a family again. Do they know that you're pregnant? Do they know that you have another baby on the way, Rachel? Like, what's the circumstances of this? Like, if I understand that you might not have all your kids right now, but like eventually the plan is to get your kids back and have your kids in your custody. And if they know you're pregnant, I'm 19 weeks and 5 days pregnant, so not showing too much, but getting there. All right, well, do your kids know? That's what I want to know. Do the kids know that mommy got a baby in her belly? Yes, I plan on getting my kids back. No, they don't know I'm pregnant. It's your call, mama. It's your call. You got to do what's best for you. You got to do what's best for your family. You got to do what's best for the situation that you're in. I can't even speak on that. And I'm not going to be, telling you, yeah, you got to do it, or no, don't do it. I don't know your circumstances. It's not my place. You got to do what's best for you. Can you handle this situation? Can you handle having another child? Can you, like, it's rough. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's a situation that, you really got to think about. Like, I can't even imagine being in that situation, to be honest with you. I can't. So you got to really, really think about your options at this point. Like going through a divorce alone is miserable. And that's what's so shitty. Because, like, you're divorcing this guy and you're pregnant with another one of his kids. So, like, at that point, do you want to bring a kid into a divorce relationship? I don't know, Rachel. I don't know your circumstances. I don't know your religious beliefs. I don't know how you feel about, If there was an option earlier to terminate, I don't know what you believe. I don't know. I don't know the circumstances. Some people, you know, would have terminated in the beginning. They might have the beliefs that, nope, I'm not going to do that. I don't believe in abortion. I'll give it up for adoption if I can't handle it. I don't know your circumstances. So it really comes down to what's in the best interest of you and your family at the end of the day. And like, I know going through a divorce, you don't want to bring a new kid into that situation. You don't want to bring a new kid into that chaos. Like it's ugly, you know? So like, so your kids are 1, 4.5, 6, 7, and 8. All right. So the 8-year-old, if your kids did know that you were pregnant, right? The 8-year-old would 100% know that mommy's pregnant. So would the 7-year-old, so would the 6-year-old. The 4.5-year-old, you know, is kind of on the cusp of not remembering anything. And then your 1-year-old will have no idea. You know, they say the kids don't remember anything prior to 4 years old. Like any memories, those are all just like memories that they're taught, like, oh, this is what happened when you were little, or like if they have to watch TV, like watch a video or a picture and stuff, then they, you know, they'll remember that, but they don't remember it actually happening. But like your 8, your 7, your 6-year-old, they're gonna be, you know, it's gonna be, you know, listen, Rachel, that's your business. You don't have to tell anybody why you got, you know, why it happened. It's your business. It's not important. You know, everybody makes mistakes. It happens. You know, it was a big deal, obviously, because of what happened and the circumstances of it. But like, you can come back from that. You can come back from that. Like, I believe in second chances because I don't believe that, you know, once you're a piece of shit, you're always a piece of shit. Or, you know, people make dumb decisions when they're younger. I remember being young and doing stupid things. And now, you know, I'm a grown man. I have beautiful children. I have a good career. I have my own place. I drive a newer car. You know, I have a, you know, a motorcycle. I'm doing my thing. And I did a lot of dumb shit when I was a kid. A lot of dumb shit. So anybody can come back from like any mistakes that you've made in the past. So don't feel that because you made a mistake that your whole life is ruined. You're 32 years old. You're literally 32 years old. You're so young. Like shit. When I was 32 years old, like I think I just bought a house. Like life was just starting for me. So like, you know, like it's still the beginning. There's always time to, you know, hit that restart button. So you got to really think about it. Hold on, what? Can you what?
Use the oven.
Yeah. And you gotta don't burn the house down. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. So yeah, like there's always a time and a place where you can press that restart button and you can restart and it's a new beginning. So you made a mistake in the past. It is what it is. Now you're going to restart. You're going to get your kids back. You're going to get your shit together. You're going to get divorced from this fucking scumbag and you're going to start fresh. And that's what you're going to do. And I apologize if I'm, you know, calling him a scumbag and like, hey, that's the father of my kids, blah, blah, blah. I don't mean it like that. But I just mean it in a way that like, fuck it. Fuck it. Start all over again. It's a new world. Like, this is a new beginning for you. Burn the fucking ships. I'll never forget it. Like I was going through my situation, my divorce, and I was in a bad place. My pride was destroyed, my ego. I was fucking miserable. I was miserable. And like, I wasn't doing the things that I was doing prior to it. Like before my divorce, like I was like, had all these hobbies, doing all these cool things. I was always busy. I was always having fun, hanging out, laughing, have a good time. When the divorce kicked off, like I stopped with my hobbies. I really went into a bad fucking place. I'm not going to lie. I went into a bad place. Like I said, I lost weight, wasn't eating, wasn't sleeping. I was in a bad fucking spot. Stopped doing the hobbies that I like doing. But then when I got right and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I need to fix this. Like, I'm young. And one of my boys, I'll never forget it. And I say it in my first episode. That's why I really think that you should watch my first episode. My first episode is really more about like divorce, separation, starting over, and like my take on things. And then, you know, I have other episodes that talk about different things like, you know, the state of America, you know, the Charlie Kirk situation, you know, men are weak, women being in their masculine energy. But my episode 1 is going to talk about like divorce, separation. So if you're going through a rough time and you're going through that situation, definitely watch episode 1 of my actual videos, because I'm telling you, like, I was in such a bad spot. And then when I had one of my friends, and I haven't talked to him in a long time. Me and him kind of like, you know, faded away from each other. And this was all going on. And he reached out to me, and he didn't know anything that was going on. Did not know anything that was going on. Didn't know I was going through a divorce, that I had to sell my house and I was starting over. And I was bullshitting with him, and I told him everything. I'm like, this is what's going on. I'm miserable, blah, blah, blah. And he said to me, and I'll never forget it, and this really changed my life. And I want you to think about this. He said to me, you are the 1%. You are the 1%. He said, you're young, you're good looking, you got a good job, and you're a good dad, right? He's like, you are the 1%. He's like, this is a new beginning for you. And, you know, I'm into like guns and stuff like that. And I watch these guys that are like former military guys that badass, and they do the trainings and stuff like that. And I was watching their videos, and they started saying this stuff, and they started making shirts and hats. And the slogan and the phrase was called "Burn the Ships." And the way they explained it was like, you know, during the Spanish-American War, you know, one of the admirals on the ship, you know, said like, you know, they were like outnumbered, outmanned, whatever. They knew they were going to die. And he was just like, burn the ships, and like, don't hold back. You're going to go forward, move forward. We're not going to give up. No surrender. Burn the ships. And the saying and that phrase and that motto comes back to like, burn the ships. Burn the ships means like, we're not going to give up. We're going to move forward. We're going to get through this. Burn the ships, baby. And that's what I say. Burn the ships. This is a new beginning. Start over. Like, don't let this hold you down. I told you, that was the biggest fear of mine, starting over. Starting over sucks. No one wants to start over. Starting over is fucking miserable. Who wants to start from the bottom and have to rebuild? It sucks. But it's going to teach you humility. It's going to teach you strength. And it's going to give you courage. And it's going to teach you, you know, a lot about yourself at the end of the day. You're going to be like, wow, I hit rock bottom. But now I'm back where I needed to be. And I watched this interview with Shia LaBeouf on the John Bernthal podcast. Great interview. Watch it, because you know Shia LaBeouf, the actor from Holes and that Even Stevens and Transformers guy, right? Shia LaBeouf. He went off the deep end. He was like in a bad spot, fucking with drugs and alcohol, and he went bonkers, right? And you know, he tells his whole story. And he does this interview with John Bernthal, and he says straight up, like, rock bottom is not the worst moment of your life. Rock bottom is when you realize that shit is so bad that it's time to fix it and it's time to change. That's rock bottom. So everyone's rock bottom is different. My rock bottom is different from your rock bottom. And Rachel, right now, you might be at your bottom, but your rock bottom is going to be when you realize that shit is so bad right now that you got to do what you got to do to fix it and make it better, and you got to rise to the top. And that's what you got to do. And I'm going to be your motivation right here. This is your chance. You're going to get your shit together. You're going to work on yourself. You're going to get your kids back. You're going to figure out your whole situation, and you're going to rebuild a whole life. And this is what you're going to do. And, you know, you can say it's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. But nothing is impossible. You know, I watched something yesterday, and it says that the human mind wakes up every day and has about 120,000 thoughts a day, right? The human mind has 120,000 thoughts every day, and 70,000 of these thoughts are negative thoughts. Think about that. More than half of the thoughts that you have every day are negative. We need to like rewire ourselves to like think positive, you know, and you know, I'm preaching to the choir, but like, cause I'm like the worst. Like, I do think some negative stuff. Like, my girl was telling me the other day, like, you know, you're negative. Like, you put negativity out in the air. And I'm like, but I'm not really negative. I'm a realist. And I wake up happy, and I'm pretty much, you know, a positive person. But there's certain things in my life that I got to be real about. And I'm like, oh, this is going to get, I'm going to get fucked over here. I'm going to get fucked over there. And she's like, stop being negative. Stop being negative. Put the positivity in the air. And you put the positivity out there, and it's gonna turn into positivity. If you keep putting negative thoughts out there, negative things are gonna be coming into your life, because God's gonna say, or the universe is gonna say, whatever you believe. All right, you want the negative? I'm gonna give you the negative. But like, I try to be a realist, but think about it: 120,000 of your thoughts every day, right? 70,000 of them are negative. Rewire that brain to not be negative anymore. And you're going to say, I'm going to get my shit together. I'm going to do what I got to do to fix my life, to do whatever I have to do to get my children back and start all over and build a new life. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. It might be hard, but it should be hard, because nothing's easy in this life. And that's another problem. We teach our kids and we spoil our kids, and the way that we discipline our kids, we teach them that everything's easy, that you could cry, throw a tantrum, and everything's going to be good. But that's not how it is. Life is fucking hard, man. It's not rainbows and butterflies. You got to start from the bottom, and you got to fix this. Let's see. Jacob, it's yes, I don't want to talk about it. That's okay. I'm just curious. Thanks. My pleasure. God did this for a reason. Rachel says, God did this for a reason, and it was to get out of this relationship and become an even better mom than I was. And what did you say? I'm going to do something that is not conventional. That is so true. Listen, Rachel, like I said, maybe this did happen. Everything happens for a reason. Maybe this was your bottom. You realize that you hit the bottom. And now, like I said, rock bottom is not the worst moment of your life. Rock bottom is when you realize that it's time to change. So you know right now that it's time to fix this. It's time to change. You want your kids back. You're young. You're 32 years old. You're 32 years old. You're young. It's still the beginning. You have so much more ahead of you to figure out. And you have all this time. Work on yourself. Work on fixing this. Get everything back into motion. You're going to get your kids back. You're going to start a new life. You're going to get out of a toxic relationship. You're going to find a nice place to live. You're going to have a good career. And you're going to be empowering to other people. And then you can go and tell other people your story and share with mothers that have been in the same kind of situation. Maybe you'll come out of this on top, and I know you're going to come out of this on top. I'm going to say that. And maybe you'll go to like domestic violence shelters, or go to like battered women shelters and speak to other women that are going through abusive relationships and similar situations. And you can show them how you came out of this, and you came out of this on top. Because everybody needs that motivation at some point, right? Everyone sometimes thinks that they're going through things alone, right? When I was going through my situation, my divorce, and I was in a bad spot, and I was talking to family and friends, people understood how miserable I was, but no one really understood the circumstances that I was in, because they're not going through it, right? They weren't going through it. But when you're speaking to somebody that's going through the same situation as you, or been through the same situation as you, and they know what you're feeling, it makes it so much easier, because you can say, oh, you don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels. This is fucking miserable, blah, blah, blah. But when it's someone who actually knows how you feel, and it's somebody that's been in that situation, and you see that they got out of that situation, it's going to be more of a motivation to you to do your best to get out of it. And you learn tricks, and you learn different things. Like, I created this channel because it wasn't to give advice. Like, I'm not a professional by any means in divorce, in relationships, in any of that. If anything, in the past, I have sucked in relationships. I am bad in relationships. I'm a great father. I guess I was a shitty husband, but like, I learned my lesson. I learned, from my past how to correct my future. So like, you learn from your mistakes. So at the end of the day, I made this channel to get advice. This is me asking for advice. I'm spitballing. I'm talking shit. I'm putting things out there because I want to hear what you guys have to say. I need to know sometimes that I'm not going through situations alone. And there's other people out there that have been through it. They can give me advice and teach me how to go through it. Like I said, I go through the situation for 2 years. There might be someone that's been going through it for 5, that's been through the ups and downs of it, that knows how it works, And what did Rachel say? And that is exactly what I have always thought, that I have been alone. Listen, you're alone now. You're alone now. That's going to be forever. It's not going to be forever. You're going to get through this. At the end of the day, this is just a small bump in the road, right? And, this is why it's important to teach your kids and not to like baby them. Because like, it's easier said than done. We love our kids. We want to spoil them. We want to give them the best life. But you also got to teach your kids responsibility, and you got to teach them, work ethic and stuff like that. Because when we teach our kids that everything is just given to them in this life, then they don't know how to work hard for things. Or when they fail, it's like so devastating to them. But failure is what a man, and maybe some women, but I can only speak for as a man. Failure is something that I strive off of. When I fail at something, I strive off of it. It makes me want to do better. It makes me want to be better. It wants to put me in a better place. So failure is going to definitely be, something that's uplifting for me. If I fail at something, I don't want to be a failure. My ego and my pride doesn't want me to be a failure. I can't allow that to happen. So if I fail at something, I gotta figure out a way to make it happen so that I don't fail anymore and that I can get through the situation. Remember, this is just a bump in the road. This is just an obstacle that's in your way, and we overcome obstacles. And you got to take your failures and you got to learn from them and you got to push through it. Everyone has ups and downs in their lives, right? No matter what, you might see people that have like amazing relationships and great marriages and this whole beautiful American dream family life. Remember, what you see on the outside is not what's happening on the inside. Everybody has their ups and downs. Let me tell you, I remember when I first got divorced, and then, on social media and the pictures of her started coming down, and there was no more pictures of her that were being put up and family pictures of her being put up. I remember having people reach out to me. I'm like, oh, I guess, you got divorced? And I'd be like, yeah, how'd you guess? And they'd be like, because like, no more pictures of, on social media and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, here's what it is. And they were like, oh, it's so crazy. You guys look so happy together. You guys had the house, the car, the family, the pictures and the photos. And I said, I guess, reality and perception are two different things, what you perceive and what reality is not the same. So, don't think that you're alone in this. Everybody has the same bullshit. Not everyone might be going through a divorce, but believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there that are getting divorced in this day and age. I think they said that like almost 60% of all marriages end up in divorce at this rate. And especially if, depending on your career, military guys, I think it was like 85% of military people will get divorced. Police officers was like 76%. Like people getting divorced more than ever. Divorce is more prevalent more than ever. So don't think that you're in this alone. There's going to be so many different people out there that are going through it, that feel your pain, understand what you're going through. And I remember like in the beginning, it's fucking shitty. I'm not gonna lie, it's fucking shitty. You're trying to go through the motions of like how to start over. You're lost. You don't know how to navigate yet. And let me tell you, I'm 2 years in and I'm still navigating the waters of this new life. Remember, I went from being, a married man with kids, a family, and a home to being a single man, seeing my kids half the time and moving into a 1-bedroom apartment because I had to sell my house. That's like a huge fucking ego check for you right there. Like I had the American dream, the home, the family, the kids. And then now I'm young, I'm single, living in an apartment, and I see my kids half the time. That's like a big fucking check to your ego, and like starting over is fucking shitty. It's a shitty situation, but I learned a lot from it, and I'm in a way better place. And I'm telling you, you're gonna get into a better place. And you're right, this is definitely not forever. Pictures can be deceiving. I'm telling you, like, you show off this whole bravado of this wonderful lifestyle, right? Then behind closed doors, you're getting choked, you're getting beaten, mentally, physically, emotionally abused. Your kids are seeing this, but people on the outside are thinking that you're living this nice family life, that you have a husband, you have a big family, and that you're happy. And it's shitty because perception and reality are two different things. And people's perception is their reality for you. So they think that because this is what they see, this is what it is. And not everything is what it seems. And I learned that early in life. About when I was like 27 years old, I realized that Not everything you see is what's going on. And but like I'm telling you, it's gonna get better. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna get through this. You're gonna strive. You just gotta say to yourself, I'm a strong woman. And any woman that's a mother and that's a good mother is a strong woman. Because only a woman can endure labor. And you enduring labor 5 times and a 6th possibly coming up, like a woman that can endure giving birth to children is a strong fucking woman. Because I know a man couldn't handle that shit. I remember watching my ex give birth to my daughter in the hospital. And when those contractions came and like those fucking pain and the way that I saw her, like, oh, like, I was like, yeah, that's crazy. Only a woman can handle that shit. And being a father of little girls, I know that women are stronger and I know that women are smarter than boys. And I can tell you that right off the bat. Women are stronger and women are smarter than boys. And I don't have to even, you know, make it up. Like, you know, people are gonna be like, oh, boys are better than girls and stuff like that. I learned, especially being a father of little girls. Girls are more resilient and girls are smarter. They don't do dumb shit. I watched something. My 6-year-old got hurt at the park. She cried about 2 seconds and then she was fine. Once daddy like hugged her and told her everything was okay and get back up there and do what you got to do, she was fine. Then there was a boy that was about 5, 6 years older than her, like 12, maybe like 11, 12, possibly 13 years old. He got hit in the leg by a soccer ball. They were playing soccer, got kicked in the thigh by the soccer ball. He fell down on the floor, was crying his eyes out for like 10 minutes when he got hit by the soccer ball. And I was like, damn, you know, that's how I know that girls are stronger than boys. Because a girl, they're resilient, they take the pain because you guys can handle delivering a fucking child. That's like pain that's like so unbearable, but you women end up getting through it. And you know, and boys, we get fucking hurt and we're like, we're like babies about it. So look, Jacob said that's why women live longer. Absolutely. And women live longer because we do dumb shit as men. We do some dumb shit. I remember being like 8 years old and we had like the blizzard, I think, of like 90, was like the blizzard of 1994 or something, right? And we got like 4 feet of snow in New York. And I remember jumping off my parents' roof with a fucking garbage bag, pretending that it was a parachute into the fucking snow. The neighbor calls my fucking dad and is like, yo, your son's jumping off the fucking roof with a garbage bag thinking it's a fucking parachute. And my dad's yelling at me, I'm a fucking retard. Yeah, because I'm a retard. I did dumb things. What kid thinks that a black garbage bag is a fucking parachute? But that's like the dumb shit that boys do. Girls don't do dumb shit like that. Girls, they're smarter. Girls don't do dumb shit like that. Literally, I'm jumping off the roof into like 4 feet of snow thinking that my black garbage bag is a parachute. Boys do dumb things. So women are stronger, women are more resilient, and like, you know what? Any ups and downs that you have in your life, you're going to get through it and you're going to be fine. And this is just a fucking obstacle, a bump in the road for you to get through it onto the next chapter of your life. And our lives go by chapters, right? Like, you know, you have the beginning, the middle, and the end. It's like a book. And then there's chapters in between there that lay out different parts of your life. This is just the end of one chapter and it's opening up a new one. And that's what you got to think about, Rachel. That's it. This is just the end of one chapter and it's the beginning of another. And you're going to be fine. And that's how you got to think about it. This too shall pass, right? That's something my father always said to me growing up. This too shall pass, kid. It's going to get better, especially when I was in my bad spot, when I was going through my divorce in the beginning, like this too shall pass. This too shall pass. And now I'm not even at the point of this too shall pass. I'm at the point where I'm like, yo, burn the ships. Burn the fucking ships, baby. To new beginnings, carpe diem, seize the fucking day. And that's where I'm at, because I'm at the point where like nothing is going to get in my way. Like nothing's going to get in my way. And if I do get knocked down, I'm going to get back up and I'm going to just fucking spear. You know, I'm the tip of the spear. I'm the tip of the spear. And I'm going to hit every fucking possible thing in my way. And I'm not even going to get over the obstacle. I'm going to blast through it. I'm going to blast through it. Nothing is going to stop me. And that's what you got to get into. We say that's so true. Most men can be big babies when getting injured or being sick. Yeah, absolutely. Men, when they get sick, they want to be fucking babied in soup and lay there and numb and fucking dying and stuff like that. And women will take care of 5 kids, go to work and do everything that she possibly has to do when she's sick. So that's what I'm saying. Women are stronger than men. And look, Jacob, I grew up on 700 acres with 2 brothers. We did a lot of dumb shit. And so that's what I'm saying. Boys, we do dumb shit. I remember I got hurt so many times. I remember I climbed the tree once and I had like a cap gun. I don't know if you remember cap guns when they were little. And I put the cap gun in my mouth because I was climbing the tree and I slipped and I fell and the gun went through my cheek. Fucking dumb. Yeah. Yeah. And the cap gun went right through my cheek. And I was like 6 years old, 7 years old, like an idiot, And I remember another time I was riding BMX in the woods with a bunch of kids. And I jumped like this huge dirt jump that we had, came down, landed on my head, got a concussion. Like, boys, we do dumb shit. Women don't do that kind of stuff. So I know that women are smarter, stronger, and they're going to get in. Like I said, being a dad of little girls, you could see that women are stronger and more resilient, and they pick up on things quicker. And, they think logically on certain things, but emotionally on a lot of other things. So, like I said, Rachel, this is just an obstacle that's in your path. You're going to get to that point where you're going to say, fuck it. Like, no obstacle is going to get in my way. I'm going to barrel through it, and I'm going to be able to push through anything that gets in my way. And this is just a little bump in the road for you. And eventually you're going to get through it, and you're going to say to yourself, wow, I remember when it was so bad, and I thought it was the end of the world. And I'm so happy that I did what I had to do to get through this and push through this, because it's going to pass. Time's going to heal wounds. This too shall pass. And there's always to new beginnings. To new beginnings, a new start. That's why I say burn the ships. To new beginnings, fresh start. Like, no surrender. We're going to get through this. This is how it's going to be. So don't think that right now I'm 32 years old. I got 5 kids. I'm getting divorced. Nobody's going to want me. I don't want to have any more kids. I'm in a bad spot in my life. Like, what am I going to do? Like, that's nonsense. That's those negative thoughts that are popping in your head that you just need to like push away. That's like the devil almost speaking, trying to like bring you down. That's like the misery speaking, like trying to bring you down. You got to say to yourself, I'm a fucking young 32-year-old young woman. I'm a good mom. I'm a hard worker. I'm motivated. I'm dedicated. I'm going to do what I need to do to get my life back on track. I'm going to push through this shit. Nothing can stop me. Nothing can stop me. Like, I'm not the pillar of fitness and motivation, and I'm not an expert in any fucking way of anything of this shit that I'm talking about. But I will be your cheerleader. I will tell you, hey, you got this. I want to see people do good. I don't want to see fucking people be scumbags. I don't want to see people ruin their fucking lives. Like, I'm not a piece of shit. Like, I want the best for my baby mama. I want the best for my ex-wife. I don't wish bad on them. They're the mother of my children, right? But you know what? Is that reciprocated? Do they want the best for me? I don't know. I feel like nobody really wants the best for anybody. Nobody wants to see you doing better than them. My father would always say, no one's going to tell you to clean your face so that you look better than them, or wipe your face so you look better than them. No one's going to tell you that. No one wants you to do better than you. No one wants you to succeed. No man is going to want another man to be a better man than them, right? No man is going to want that. The only man that wants you to be a better man than them is your father. Your father is the only man in your life that's going to want you to be a better man than him. That's his aspirations. Those are his goals as a father. And even like as a father of girls, like, I want my kids to be a better person than I am. I want them to be wealthy, healthy, succeed, be the best that they possibly can be at the end of the day. And that's how it is, like, but I want to see you do good. I want you to get through this. I don't want to see, these kids end up losing out on their mom because of a hard time and a bad situation. And this is what I say, do it for yourself, but you got to do it for your kids too, right? Your kids need their mom. They need to have mommy in their lives, right? And that's one thing that I've always known. Like, a mom is a mom is a mom. That's what a mom is. A mom. Like, everyone wants their mom. I'm 30 years old. I still speak to my mom every single day. My mom still comes and will drop off groceries and drop off shit for me. Hey, I saw this for you. I thought you would like it. I drop it off. Like, my mom still does it. I'm 38 years old. You know, like, it's a mom's a mom. The kids need their mom, and no kid should live without a mom. And for the people that grew up where their mom passed away or their mom was gone, like that was a rough situation for them. And I just think that you as a mother and that you have these kids, you got to do what's best for you. You got to get your shit back on track, and you got to bring your kids back into the situation, and you're gonna start all over. And I'm telling you, it's gonna be a new beginning, a beginning of a new chapter in your life. You know, it's gonna be a beginning of a new chapter in your life, and things are gonna get better, and everything's gonna work out. But listen, if you ever need anything, reach out to me. I'm here to help. You know, I'll guide you as best I can. Like I said, I am not a professional in any way. This is me just going based off of my experiences. Everyone's experiences are different. So I'm not a professional by any means. I'm not trying to offend anybody or hurt anybody's feelings about anything that's going on. Reach out to me. Feel free. Watch my channel. If you're going through a situation that you feel like it's the end of the world and that you're lost, I'm telling you, watch episode 1 of my videos. I got the question of the day every day. Every day I throw out a new question about relationships or life. You know, check out my questions of the day. Give me a like, subscribe, comment down below what your response is. We'll get a little debate going here in the comments. People will get to see your perspective. You can see other people's perspectives. Question of the day is just, you know, a little fun thing to see, get you thinking, get you out of those negative thoughts. And then my videos, like my episodes, episode 1, that's going to be a good starting point for you, Rachel. You know, check out episode 1, watch it. It's going to be, you're going to be like, wow. Like, it's raw. It's raw. I had people hit me up like, yo, that's raw, man. I appreciate it. I needed to hear that because I thought I was the only one that was going through it. Check out episode 1. Episodes, you know, after that, you know, I kind of just go on rants about different things that are happening that I think is going on. And I try to get people's opinions about it. But definitely remember, episode 1, you're going to see, I explain my whole story, and you're going to see that, like, you're not alone in this. So check it out. Check out my episodes. Check out the questions of the day. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, follow me for more. I'm going to try to do a live like once or twice a week. I'm going to drop an episode once a week, and I said the questions of the day every day. Thank you guys for engaging with me. Thank you for speaking to me. I got my kids, so I got to go do some daddy duties. I've been on here for like almost an hour and a half already, so I got to, you know, play with them and hang out with them. But I want to thank you guys for everything. I appreciate it. Stay tuned for more. Like I said, like, subscribe, follow me. Let's try to get it going. Like, I'm not doing this to be a famous YouTuber. Sometimes I just need advice. I need to know that I'm not going alone to do it alone. And sometimes by me speaking to you, it helps me. Like, you tell me what's going on, and by me giving you advice or my opinion about certain things, it helps me, and I feel good about myself. This ain't about being like a freaking famous YouTuber. Like, I got my job, I got my kids. Like, I don't, you know, I just want to, you know, put it out there. So have a good day. Thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.